It's Tuesday, and you know what that means. It's another edition of the 2-2 podcast. Listen, I'm so glad you could join me today. Today's going to be a really, really great episode. I'm looking forward to what we are talking about today, and not only today, but for the next couple of weeks. We're continuing the series, Finish Strong, Strong Finish. But I wanted to do a sub-series because I feel that it's time to do something about what we're talking about today. So with that being said, grab your friends, grab your family, grab your coworkers, grab a notebook, grab your iPad. You're about to go to work. See you in a minute. Have you ever wanted to record a podcast but didn't know the way? Well, I've got good news. Let me tell you about something. It's called Anchor. And Anchor is the easiest way to record a podcast. Let me explain. It's absolutely free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. And it's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. So here's what I need you to do. Please download the free Anchor app or go to Anchor FM to get started. What's going on, everybody? Listen, I wanted to continue this series entitled Finish Strong, Strong Finish. But first and foremost, I want to thank everybody who listens to the show each and every week. It really brings me great joy, and I'm humbled and honored to do this podcast each and every week. We are in the final push of 2020, and I believe that it is time to really, really get focused and dig our heels in and get ready for this fourth quarter push into 2021. And I encourage anybody who hasn't started to get started. It's never too late to get started, no matter what it is. Get started. Start small if you have to. Just because you start doesn't mean you have to hit the home run right away. But get started. It will benefit you in the end to get started and to get rolling and hit the ground running going into 2021. We have to finish strong and have a strong finish. But within the series, I wanted to do a sub-series. Because in order to finish strong, you have to be willing to do these do this thing. It's only 2 words. It's simple. And it's easier said than done for a lot of people. It can be simple for others if you're used to making room. I want to start off by saying or asking a question just very briefly. Does anyone feel that their life has been cluttered like mine? Especially in this year. Show of hands. I know you can't see me. I can't see you. I know I said it every week, but it's just become commonplace. It's just become commonplace for me to say. But show of hands, how many people have felt congested, cluttered? It felt like it's been junky. It's just been a lot. You have developed psychological claustrophobia. Your life it's been a claustrophobic year. How many feel that way? I know I do. I know it's been a year where it just seems like one thing happens after another, and another thing happens after another. And, in the winter, we were having to deal with the start of this pandemic, and we were having to deal with, in the spring, we were having to deal with some things, deal with the pandemic, and in the summer, we were having to deal with racial tension and protests and whatnot. And, the fall, we were getting ready for the election, and just the bickering back and forth, and the winter, we're having to deal with more racial tension and violence and brutality. We're still having. It just seems like it's been a perpetual loop of just horrifying, debilitating, unnerving, uncertain times. It's been that loop that we haven't been able to get out of. And we've had to deal with that in the midst of what we're going through in our own lives. We've had to deal with what's going on in the world and what's going on within the four walls of our own homes, or within our own lives. And for some of us, let's go even deeper. Some of us are still dealing with 2019, 2017, 2016. Yeah, I know I missed 2018. Yes, of course, some of us are still dealing with some things from 95, 96, 97. Some of us are dealing with some stuff 30, 40, 50 years back, from 30 and 40 and 50 years back, that we have not taken the time to clear out of our life. And I ask again, how many people feel congested? How many people, not just, let me extend the question. Let me expand this question a little further. Not only do I want to know, do you feel congested about this year? How many people have felt congested throughout prior years before this was going to happen? And they haven't taken the time to clear things out and make room. So today and for the next 2 weeks, we're talking about making room. I have been wanting to talk about making room in your life and making room in our lives for a little while now. I find myself singing the song by Jonathan McReynolds, "Make Room." And no, I'm not going to sing it. But if you don't know the song, please listen to it. Matter of fact, listen to the whole album. Just listen to the album in its entirety. Because "Make Room" really blessed my life. One of my best friends in the whole wide world. Shout out to Eb. Please follow her on YouTube. Her YouTube show is absolutely amazing. She's one of my best friends in the whole wide world. We've been best friends for 13 years, man. We started off as kids who were damaged, broken, hurt, going through so much in our own life, both physically, mentally, socially. And she's been rocking with me for a long time, man. I really appreciate her. But her and she introduced me to a song called Make Room. And so it made me think about all the times in our life where we have just taken the junky pieces and portions of our lives and just pushed them in a garage, pushed them in a storage unit, or pushed them in a place and just left them there. It reminds me of those times where we put so much of the things that hurt us, and we just go, you know what? It's not that it's just going to stay there. How many people just put stuff in their garage? Let's just think of our life as a garage right now. Just think of it. Don't act like y'all don't just buy stuff, use it once, and just stick it somewhere in the garage. Don't act like that. For those who have 2-car garages, don't act like you don't take your garage and you use the one space for your car and you use the other space for your junk. Don't act like you don't do that. We have taken the time in our life to hide behind things. Hide behind events. Hide behind we've taken the time to, go out and not confront those things in our lives that we should have confronted years ago. Whether it was out of fear, whether it was out of, pain, whether it was out of whatever it may be. We oftentimes forget to confront those things that we push under the rug or we push in our garages. And this year alone has really shown us that we have to take the time to make room. We have to take the time to take inventory of those things that we have held on to for years. The past pain from an ex, the pain of abuse from a family member, whatever that abuse may be. Those things that we haven't confronted, that we have pushed in our life's garage. And this year, in the final push of 2020, I want to let somebody know that it is time to make room. It is time to have a mental garage sale, a physical garage. It's time to really have a mental, psychological garage sale. It was a post that I put up years ago, and it said, everything must go. You've ever been to a liquidation sale? You ever been to a sale where a store is going out of business and there's always that big, I don't know where they get these signs from. I don't know where these stores get these signs from. But there is a sign that says everything must go. Oftentimes it's either a moving sale, but oftentimes it's a moving sale when a store is moving from one store to another. I've been a part of a moving sale when one store was moving into a new building. I've been a part of that. But also, I'm talking about when a store shuts down. Everything must go. You see those bright yellow, red, and black signs. And every so often, every week, they change how much how much off those things are. Well, I put a post up some years ago, and I don't know if it was on Instagram or Facebook or it was just Facebook exclusively. But it said everything must go. And I'm here to announce to you, everything must go. And what do I mean by that? Every piece of our lives that we have not confronted, that should have been confronted for years, must go. Every bad thing that we have done must go. Every part of our lives that aren't a part of progress must go. And this year, we have had no excuses. Because we've all been, in some way, we've been in the house. Alone with our thoughts. Alone with our pain. Alone with our emotions. Alone with our addictions and our and whatnot. We've been alone in the house. We have been confronted with the idea and the notion that we must take care of this situation. I know it's been hard to not go anywhere. I know it's been hard to not do anything. I know it's been hard not to see your friends. I know it's been hard not to go to parties. I know it's been hard not to go to sporting events. Believe me, I know how it feels. Lord, I went to one sporting event. Like, I went to several things earlier this year, but I went to one sporting event that I went to. I'm a huge soccer fan. Huge soccer fan. And I got to go to one soccer match this year. And when I say that crap hurt, it hurt, man. It was the absolute worst to not be able to go and cheer my favorite team on. It kind of sucked to not be able to go to basketball games. It sucked not to be able to coach AAU this year. But I believe that this year was a year where it was time that we all tapped in to something that we've never tapped into before, a deeper level of purpose like never before. It has been a year not only to tap into purpose, but to do something new. Because we've always, and when I say a new thing, I'll put it in two ways: something that we never thought we would do, or something that we procrastinated about. It was time to do a new thing. It wasn't time to play around and to procrastinate any longer. It's time to do a new thing. But most importantly, it was time to clear out space. And what do we need to clear out of our lives? Well, I'm glad you asked. This is what I believe. Based on myself, what do we need to make room for? Well, we first need to talk about the fact that we need to clear out our pride. We need to take pride out of our life's garage. We need to take the arrogance and the bad attitudes as well. It's not just about clearing out people who are detrimental to our purpose. And I know I talk about that a lot. But sometimes, and I've said this to a friend of mine, and I may have said it on this show, that sometimes the people around us are a manifestation of our bad habits, our bad character choices, our bad thoughts, our bad words, our bad habits. The people that we are oftentimes around are a manifestation of who we are. Externally and internally, but definitely internally. Do you know the old saying, birds of a feather flock together? That is true. There was an old saying, there was a picture that I saw. It basically said that doctors hang out with doctors. Pastors hang out with pastors. Athletes hang out with athletes. Musicians hang out with musicians. So, if you hang out with negative people, why wouldn't you become negative? See, we are who we attract. And the reason why we attract them is because we are a manifestation. They are a manifestation of who we choose to be. That doesn't mean that we don't attract the opposite at times. That doesn't mean that we don't. Oftentimes, opposites do attract. But I'm talking about when we attract the negative when we're trying to be positive. When we attract we attract the lazy when we're trying to be industrious and progressive. We attract the people that want to stick with the old when you're trying to do the new thing that God has placed in your life. I'm talking about those times. How many people have felt they have attracted who they have chosen to be? We've attracted our bad habits. We've attracted our bad character choices. We have attracted our addictions. We have attracted those people who are the human personification of what we fight every day. We also attract the human personification of what we're striving to be every day. But I believe that in a moment like this, it is time to clear out that space to allow room for the people God has placed in your life. But it all starts with us. Starts with me. Starts with you. And we have to take inventory of those people. Are they really beneficial to what God is doing in my life? Are they just taking up space? Is this relationship that I'm in taking up space? Is this friendship that I'm in just taking up space? What am I doing to clear the space? What are they doing in my life? If they're not serving a purpose, they have to move. Because I have to allow God to work in my life. I have to allow God to place the people in my life that are going to encourage me to continuously be great in all that I do, in spite of what I go through. I have to allow for that. And if I don't allow for God to work in my life, I will forever be stuck in the perpetual loop of my bad habits and my bad character choices and the people that are around me. I will forever be continuously in that cycle. That's another song that my best friend introduced me to, Cycles. You've heard me talk about getting caught in the habit loop. You've heard me talk about that episode. After you listen to this episode, listen to it. It's in the archives. It's called Easier Said Than Done, Caught in the Loop. I talked about getting caught in bad cycles. But my friend introduced me to a song called Cycles. And I refuse to, and the rest of this year, going into 2021, I refuse to be caught in the cycle of pushing bad habits and bad friends and bad addictions and bad relationships into my garage and just leaving them there and not allowing room for blessings and progression and true friendship and true love. I can't keep pushing this stuff inside of there. Because eventually, the more that you push this stuff in, the more that you push these bad habits in, the more that you push this stuff in and you just ignore it and allow it to keep piling up, eventually, it will overflow. You'll push one too many things in there and it will overflow. It will be uncontrollable. I'm here to announce to you that it is time to make room. Not only in the bad friendships and connections that we have, not only not only to take out the bad friendships that we have, not only to take out the bad habits that we have, but also the bad mindsets that we have, the bad thoughts that we think. You oftentimes have heard me quote this. It was the very first episode of this podcast. You've heard me quote this. Watch your thoughts, they become your words. Watch your words, they become your actions. Watch your actions, they become your habits. Watch your habits, they become your character. Watch your character, it becomes your destiny. There's a scripture in the Bible that says, As a man thinks, so is he. Have you ever thought in an adverse way about yourself? I can't be the only one. I know you're sitting there quietly trying to take inventory and you feel that you're taken aback. Oh, I could never do that about myself. Oh, no, I couldn't do that. No, not me. Oh, no. No. I can't do that. No. Yes, you have. We all have at some point. So again, I'm going to ask, how many people, not just this year, but period, have thought negatively about themselves? Whether it was perpetuated by somebody else's words, and about that, sometimes what we see and what we hear, if we're not strong within ourselves, we will allow what people say and what we see to become who we are. But it first starts with what we hear. And what we hear gets into what we think. What we think goes into what we say. And what we say goes into what we do. And what we do goes into what we continuously do. And what we continuously do becomes something that is a part of our character. It's in our character to do it. Our destiny starts with the decision. It starts with a decision. And we have to make this destiny move that we're having to make now, in the midst of a pandemic, in the midst of all chaos and disorder and revelation and just distrust and betrayal and dishonor. We're faced with a decision that we have to make room. And we have to get all of that stuff out of the way. Everything must go. Everything that has held us back, that we have pushed in our life's garage, must go. We can't hide anymore. We've all been exposed. We haven't had time to hide behind events and things. Our stuff is on display as we speak. We don't have time to play with this anymore. In order to become free from everything, in order to continue to press forward and to have a strong finish and to finish strong in this year, and to go into January 1st, 2021, greater than we've ever been before, stronger than we've ever been before, we must be willing to make room. And we must be willing to take inventory of everything in our life that should not be there. Is it going to be hard? Absolutely. Is this inventory going to take you into 2021? It just might. And that's okay. Some people started December 31st of 2019. Some people started January 1st of this year. Some people started in the middle of July, and some people started this week. Some people started on Sunday. But no matter where you start, you must be willing to make room. Is it going to hurt sometimes to get rid of some of those things and some of those people and some of those connections and some of those? It's going to hurt. Especially if you have been around that person for a long time. It's going to hurt. Especially if you've been a part of that job for a long time. It's going to hurt. Sometimes we get hurt in the midst. Not just betrayal, but we get hurt in the realm of our loyalty to a thing or a person. We get hurt even deeper. We get cut even deeper in the midst of the loyalty of a thing or a job or a person. We get hurt. We were supposed to cut that thing out a long time ago. But our loyalty, well, sometimes our hearts are so big. And sometimes we're faced with the false notion that we can't do without a person. I can't live without this person. Yes, they're hurting me. They're doing me wrong. They're betraying my trust. They're betraying my love. They're taking my kindness for weakness. But I can't do without them. How many people this year have been hurt by being loyal to disloyal people? How many people have been hurt this year alone by disloyal jobs? This year has been a year where we've been hurt and betrayed. And healing takes time. I understand that. But we must confront the pain that we face in order to get the healing that we so need. I'm here to let somebody know right now that just feels like giving up. You can't quit. You can't quit right now. We're in the final push. You got to keep going. I know it's hard sometimes to keep going in the midst of all that we're facing. But we must be willing to keep going. We must be willing to take inventory about every little thing in our lives that is detrimental to progress. I know it hurts. I know it sucks really bad. They left me. You don't understand. Chris, you just don't understand. They left me alone. I thought we would be forever. You don't understand. I thought I was going to be there forever. You don't understand. I've never felt this way before. You don't understand. Sometimes I don't feel like getting up and going. I understand how you feel about not wanting to get up and go through everyday life. Even before this pandemic, I understand what it feels like to just go, I just can't do it. I can't do it today. But the thing that pushes me every single day to be willing to make inventory of those bad things in my life and makes me willing to keep going and push those certain things out of my life is because there is a new thing that's happening. I know the purpose because God knows the plan for my life. I am excited for that. And I had to be willing to make room. In spite of everything, I had to be willing to make room in my life for God to work. You must be willing to make the inventory in your life in order to become everything that you are called to be. It's hard. God knows it's hard. Oh, man. I have days, even to this day, where I just go, I got to confront this. I got to deal with this. I got to fight this. I got to do this. Are you kidding me? I don't want to do this today. It's scary. But eventually, you have to go, look, it can't stay here. It's been here too long. It's overstayed its quote-unquote welcome. So I ask you, as we wrap up, what are you willing to confront today that you have hid for so long? What are you willing to take inventory of that you did not take inventory of before? What are you willing to fight? What are you willing to what are you willing to do to say, I will no longer allow myself to push things into this garage? Because at this point in my life, I've been through so much hell that I can no longer take it. And that I am only accepting blessings from this point forward. I'm only accepting people in my life who are going to help me cultivate this purpose, that'll keep me grounded and guarded, that will make sure that I'm accountable for cultivating this purpose. I'm only accepting people, and I'm only accepting things that will help me grow and progress. So again, I ask, what are you willing to take inventory of? And what are you willing to do to make room? Hey, listen, thank you for joining the show today. Don't forget to follow the show page and my personal page. The show page is 22_podcast. That is 22_podcast on Instagram. And my personal page at AlexJ_live. That is AlexJ_live. Please don't forget the 22 podcast has merch. That's on 22apparel.threadless.com. That is 22apparel.threadless.com. See you soon.